Okay. Hi guys. So last time I talked about making your character, thinking of the type of webcomic and writing, sort of. I wanted to show you guys exactly how I write. Alright, well I hope that's big enough that you can see. Um, so basically I'll just write down very simply what they're doing, because while I write, I already have like an image in my head. So that's kind of how it works for me. It's not exactly how I described, where it's like the character's name and then their dialogue, although sometimes it is, but most of the time it's just like short thingies like that. And a lot of the time I won't even stick like perfectly to my script, but it helps me kind of stay in check and clearly see or clearly imagine how each panel is going to look. I don't know if that makes sense, but anyway, this is what I'm drawing right now. Come on, pen. There we go. So I use Autodesk Autodesk Sketchbook Pro. I do pay for it. It's about $15 a month. It took me a little while to get used to it because I used to use Photoshop, but I lost it and I don't really want to pay $24 for it every month or whatever it is. Eventually I'm gonna have to, but anyway, there's a lot of programs that you could use if you don't have one already. I used to use GIMP, even though that one is like the shittiest of them all, probably, of the free ones that are out there. I've heard Paint Tool Sai is pretty good. That's the one that like a lot of people use. I never really got into it. For some reason I got into the real shit one, but not Paint Tool Sai. What else is there? Krita? I think it's called Krita. And you can get the free sketchbook, although I don't know. There's a lot of things missing from it, I think. What else? I know people say that, like, oh, you could even use MS Paint, which is technically true, but also I would hate to have to use MS Paint to make webcomics. I don't know why it says 89 days left in your trial. I'm paying for this, bitch. So you can kind of see here, let me turn this off. How I'll start is, so I do Tea and Spirits in like a strip kind of way. I'm kind of thinking of changing it, but it's like worked for me pretty well. I already have like the comic base saved as a Photoshop document in my files, and I'll just open that up and sketch directly like on a different layer. But like I already have like the frames all set up and stuff. And the background color, always gray. Just to kind of keep it consistent and it's easier for me. Then I'll go in with a pretty bright color, and I'll turn the opacity down on my, use this pen tool, and I will turn the opacity of the stroke pretty low. Sometimes I will start with even more basic than this, like I think I was kind of doing it down here, like right here. Just simple blocking out what I'm gonna draw, and then I'll go in with a different color and draw on top of it. Usually that's why I start with a bright color, and then I'll go back to do my secondary sketch in like this kind of bluish color usually, and then I can do more details in the secondary color. And after that, I will turn the opacity of the layer down, and then I'll start on the line work. So after I'm done with the line work, I'll just turn off this layer, make a new layer, and then I just draw this in Grayscale. I did start out doing it in color, but that got a little difficult for me, especially since I was trying to like stay on a schedule. Oops. I was trying to stay on a schedule and the color was just killing me. So I thought I would focus more on just getting the story out, and I recommend if you're starting out, you should probably do the same. The way I'll do my Grayscale is I will first color in all the figures in a simple like gray color. And I'm going to use this as sort of the lightest shade, apart from like the whites of the eyes and stuff. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll just, if it's a big object that I'm filling in, I'll just sort of do that. And then get the paint bucket tool and just fill it in. And then all these little things that like I sort of colored over the lines, I'll just erase them. And you can see here that like the gray is kind of, it's coloring over the frame thing. I usually just move the frame layer up, so just like that. But I usually do that at the end. Make sure you're working on the right layer. Once you're done with that, once I'm done with that, I'll grab the darker color and I'll usually do like the hair. Basically I very simply kind of choose which parts are darker, which are lighter, and I try not to use too many gray tones. And since I've colored these guys a billion times, I kind of know like the shades that I'm looking for. For example, his hair is darker than her hair. Her skin is darker than both these guys. Her eyes are always the same shade as her hair, and his hair is lighter than all three of them. It's still darker. Hang on. There we go. Just like that. And since his eyes are blue, I just leave them the same color as the background layer. But Victor's eyes are brown, so I'll usually go in with like his hair color. And that's all I do. Obviously this is not how I draw normally, like with my illustrations and stuff. I am a lot more careful, I take my time, but when it comes to webcomics, I just want to get the story out. I want the characters to be seen, but I also understand that people read pretty fast, and I just want to make an impact, and no one's gonna linger to look at every individual frame. You know, that's kind of the mindset I have. Of course, there are so many wonderful comics out there that are just beautifully drawn, and I think that's amazing, and I kind of wish I could do that, but for now, like I said, I just want to get the story out, and maybe one day I'll redo it. So that kind of helps me to relax and just render the characters enough so you get what's going on. Yep. And for like the whites, the shiny part of their eyes, I will do a layer on top of my line layer. I'll grab the white full opacity, and I'll zoom in a little bit, and I'll just draw like tiny dots right in their irises. And I have to make them subtle because their irises are already pretty small, just like that. And now the speech bubbles. I always struggled a lot with speech bubbles for some reason. This is my way of doing it. So I'll start with the text. And I downloaded a font that I liked. As you can see, it doesn't do the thing where it like, anyway, I have to like manually format this thing. And actually it's not going to work because there's a smallish space. So you kind of get like the hang of this the more you do speech bubbles, but so here it is. And as you can see, it's a little big, so I make it smaller. Was that italicized? No. Oh yes, it was. I thought so. Okay. So I'll do that, and it still looks like shit. Hang on. So I'll just play around with it and center it until it looks okay to me. That's okay. Then I'll go to a layer underneath, add a layer, and then this is going to be like my speech bubble layer. And if you're smart, you will label your layers, but I'm not smart. I'm lazy. I'll take the circle thing, the circle tool, and I will just do that. And then one cool thing about Sketchbook Pro is that it has this smoothing, what's it called? Let's see. Come on. Steady stroke. And it kind of smooths out your strokes so they don't look choppy, and it's amazing. It's helped me a lot. I don't know if it's technically cheating, but I don't fucking care. So I'll use that, the steady stroke, and that's how I'll make the little tail. And I'll just keep going until I find something that looks good. There we go. And I will fill it in. And that's how I make my speech bubbles. Sometimes it looks nice to get like the little black border around them, but for me that's an extra step that I just don't care about. This works. It communicates well visually, and that's all I need for now. Like I said, one day I may revisit this and like redraw everything, and then I'll make it nice, but since right now it's just for fun, it's for fun. I don't want to worry. So again, I usually grab the frames layer and I'll move it up until it's like above the gray and the line work layer, but below the speech bubble and the text layer. So it's like in between. So if one of my text speech bubbles kind of goes out of the line, it'll still be on top of the frame, and I think it looks better like that. But anyway, that's it pretty much. My son's an idiot. Anyway, yeah, that's it for the digital. I was going to show you also the traditional things I do, but I'll just show you on camera because it's pretty much the same thing I do digitally, just on a piece of paper. Bonjour, here is me. Here is me with my full face. Alright. Please excuse the microphone that I have tucked into my shirt. Okay, so what I'll do with, excuse my nails, what I'll do with these traditional comics is I'll just sketch it out And I'll sketch it with the frames just so I know exactly how the composition is going to work, just because like I'm used to Photoshop where I can like resize things, but I can't really here with traditional art. And then what I do is I'll scan them and I'll do the speech bubble and text layer in Photoshop or in Sketchbook or whatever. But you can see the dialogue I've written in pencil, so it's like I can easily remove it from the scanned image. And I use markers, different shades of gray and black ink, and that's it. I try to keep it real simple. And for this one I do have just the one outfit that we each wear, just to make it even more simple. And oh my goodness, it is lagging so bad, and I'm sorry about that. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay, so thanks for watching, guys, and I think that's it. There's nothing else for me to say. Oh wait, yes there is. Please share your work. There's no point in making a funny, hilarious, amazing webcomic and not sharing it with everyone. If you don't show it to anyone, no one will see it, no one will say anything, no one will comment, no one will care. That sounds horrible. But even if you share it and the same thing happens, no one sees it, then like nothing lost, you know? Don't go in there like demanding attention and getting mad when it doesn't happen, but also don't put yourself down. I hope this makes sense, because it makes sense in my mind. It's like nothing matters anyway, you know? So why not share it? Why not take that extra step and be brave? So you guys can be brave. I've made a list of different websites that you can publish your webcomics on. The ones I personally use and recommend are Tumblr, obviously. It's like the big one. And I also use Tapas, which was previously Tapastic. I don't know. But I really like that one because it has like a nice layout, and you can scroll endlessly through the different webcomics, and you can see the previous ones, and it's just really nice. And you can find a lot of cool new webcomics there as well. Yeah, those are the two that I use, so those are the two I recommend. If you do a lot of the standalone humorous type of comics, I also recommend Instagram. I feel like more people would see it on Instagram. But anyway, that's it. That's my amazing advice, and never know how to end these things. And my microphone is lagging again. I am so sorry. Thanks for watching. I hope this helped. See you later.